So I'm going to do a quick thing on the flags and symbol of the asexual community. I should do the other way around, symbols and flags. Some of it was briefly touched on earlier. Now, first of all, of course, is the Avon triangle. It's a triangle. It was touched on earlier, and so I won't need to go through it too much like I thought I would. But as you can see, gender isn't the only thing we have a habit of trying to graphically represent. Also, sexuality, we come up with new and interesting ways to do it, and many different facets possible. Any kind of attraction, whether it's sexual, romantic, or anything else. And I think the brief conclusion is it's more complicated than string theory. Then we have what I like to call the in-jokes. Basically the cake, the aces, and the ring. They're pretty common. The cake comes around because it's on the Avon forums as an emoticon, like a smiley face, round face, whatever. It starts being used as kind of a greeting, congratulations, commiserations, pretty much anything else, sex, suspect, and joke. You name it, it became our mascot. So much so that on the census there was a question about cake. Then there's the aces, which come around because ace is short for asexual, in the same way that bi is short for bisexual. And you get ace, you get ace of cards. The ace of hearts tends to be used pretty much only by romantic asexuals, so homo, bi, pan, hetero-romantics. The ace of spades gets used by the aromantics and also pretty much anybody else. And then you've got the ring, which in theory indicates to other people that you're asexual. You wear a black ring on the middle finger of your right hand, but it sort of requires that one, the person looking at you knows what it means, and two, they know that you know what it means and aren't just wearing a ring on the finger just for the hell of it. Actually, these all have problems like that in terms of that they're great in community, but you look at cards, you think games, magic tricks, gambling, you think of cake, you think, ooh, yummy treat. So they're all great symbols within the community, but they're not very good for raising visibility with people outside of the community because they've all got other primary meanings. And so, people have a habit of mixing these things up. This is sort of an educational colouring book a woman who's on Tumblr came up with. It's a whole series of things, but there's cake, there's ace of spades. It's a pretty picture. I thought I'd put it on there. But we got to the flag. Now, there was a suggestion of, do we have a flag? Maybe we should have a flag, and it came up periodically every now and then. There's always people who are for it because it's flexible. It doesn't have any other primary meaning. You can use it for raising visibility. It's really great to have one. Others weren't so keen on having one, either because why would a sexuality have a flag in the first place, or can we really force other people to live under the flag, as it were? And others because they saw having a flag for sexuality as linking ourselves to the LGBT community. And whilst a lot of us are fine with that, not everybody is. I think large portions of those are heteromantics, but not all of them. So there's a bit of debate, and there's one time people just started just submitting flags anyway, and it went ahead. And nobody could stop it. Also, there's meanings of the different colours. The black represents asexuals, like in the ring. The grey is for the grey romantics and demisexuals. The white is for the sexuals, both in terms of gradient, like the triangle, and also, allies. And the purple's for all of us together community, which came from Avon, and now apparently Neth. There have, however, been other alternate colour meanings suggested. If you can't read that, black equals tea, grey equals rainy day, white equals cake, and I assume purple just stands for awesome. These, when people first started submitting flags, these were they. These were the first round of submissions. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. Some of them remind you suspiciously of country flags, like that one. Some of them, I think this one was made by a Scottish woman who likened it to the Scottish flag until an American came along and said, why does that look like a Confederate flag? So we had a few problems there, and eventually some people were suggesting some guidelines, and eventually some sort of moderators came along and sort of, hey, get your act together. So we got some rules. Basically, we only use all four colours. 2, no gradients, because you can't put gradients on a flag, because it's really hard to make. and to not too complicate it, for crying out loud. So we also at the same time started putting word out to outside of Avon, because we didn't want it to just be an Avon thing. By this time, the asexual community had spread out. It was on Tumblr, it was on, well, that's actually Dreamwidth, not LiveJournal, but it was on LiveJournal as well. DeviantArt, that's the Polish forum, and this sort of general LGBT blog picked it up. And so we started. All the designs from the last round that won came through. I made that one. And along with new ones that complied to the criteria came through. Not all of these came from Avon, some of them did come from outside of Avon. So these went through a poll. And then these were the winner. Now this took a period of some while. During this entire thing there were discussions of, should we have a flag? Should we have a flag? Can we impose it on people? Can we not impose it on people? Can it be used? And so on. And by the time 2 people had come across as kind of organising, me and another one. There's other people, but we seem to be the ones kind of putting up polls and stuff. Until on the 3rd of August, my sister's birthday, I put up a 3rd final poll. This was not hosted on Avon, so it would be completely impartial. And also so people couldn't see the results when they were voting and then get biased by it. And give it some time, and the thing was announced on the 11th of August, a few days later, and we have a winner! And it promptly went out, did the rounds as the announcement. That was from the Demisexual LiveJournal, I believe it is, so it's kind of the Demis use it as well.
Sorry, just very quickly explain what does demisexual mean?
Okay, demisexual. So you get, sexuals on one side who are, well, sexual. Then you get asexuals on the other side who are asexual. And then in between there's sort of like a grey area. So the demis and the graces. The grey aces are kind of exist. They're kind of between sexual and asexual, and then you get the demisexuals who are kind of a kind of that. They're largely asexual until such points they kind of form sort of emotional, romantic attraction to someone, at which point it sort of triggers something, and they start feeling sexual attraction towards that person. So it's sort of like an in-between area. So they tend to fall underneath the asexual umbrella, the graces and aces, graces and demis. And as soon as announced, people started using it for things. These are all handmade, even the umbrella. For those who don't know, that's the transgender flag, that's the pangender flag, and that's the pansexual flag, and that's the bisexual flag, for those who don't know. Then people started using them largely positive. Sometimes these are experiences that aren't quite so positive and kind of feeling isolation and stuff. And that was actually a suggestion for the banner for the march yesterday. Bit too complicated to use it, but I loved it, so I'm putting it here. And also you can see the cake still remains. And then of course it got used at Pride. This is in Stockholm. This is in San Francisco, which looked really good, and I wish I was there when I saw pictures. And this is from London last year, and as you can see, it's getting around. We never imposed it on anybody, but it's become pretty much the official flag anyway. It's really adaptable. People see it and come ask you, what is this thing? And well, you can fly it, you can walk behind it like you do with flags. It's worked well. It's done what a flag should do, and I've had people come up and tell me, I wasn't for a flag when we first started doing it, I didn't want one then. But I actually quite like it. I'm quite glad we have one now. So it's done its job, and that's a very brief run through. Goodbye.